Jay Park's eyes snapped open, the harsh fluorescent lights of his dormitory room cutting through the remnants of his deep sleep. His alarm clock read 8:37, 37 minutes after the most important presentation of his academic career had begun. Panic surged through his veins like liquid nitrogen. The spacecraft design competition was not just another university event. It was the gateway to a prestigious internship with the Global Aerospace Research Foundation, a dream opportunity that could launch his entire career into the stratosphere. Hundreds of students from across the planet had competed for this chance, and now his shot was slipping away because of one critical failure. Beside him, Kiro, his alien roommate, sat motionless at the computer terminal. The exchange student from the Temporal Alignment Collective looked unbothered, his silvery skin reflecting the room's artificial light. Jay's frustration boiled over. "You were supposed to wake me," Jay shouted, his voice cracking with a mixture of anger and desperation. Kiro tilted his head, displaying an expression of mild confusion that was both infuriating and incomprehensible. "Wake-up protocols were not activated in my personal directive matrix," Kiro responded in his characteristic monotone voice. His species was renowned for precise time management, which made this failure even more inexplicable. Jay's mind raced. The competition's preliminary round required teams to present innovative spacecraft design concepts that could revolutionize interstellar travel. His team had spent months developing a breakthrough propulsion system that could potentially reduce travel time between star systems by 40%. He grabbed his communication device, hoping to at least understand what had happened. The device's log showed no system failures, no disrupted alarms. Something was wrong, and Jay was determined to find out what. His teammate, Lisa Chen, had already sent multiple messages. Each one grew progressively more frustrated and concerned. The last message was a gut punch. "Where are you? We've been disqualified." The room felt suffocating. Jay's dreams of working with the top aerospace engineers, of contributing to humanity's expansion into the galaxy, seemed to be evaporating like rocket fuel in the vacuum of space. Kiro continued working, seemingly unaffected by the human's emotional turmoil. This indifference was characteristic of his species, logical, detached, and unable to comprehend the nuanced emotional landscapes of human experience. "This isn't just about me," Jay said, his voice now quiet but intense. "This was our team's chance. Months of work, gone because of a simple wake-up call." The alien roommate processed this information, his neural interfaces calculating probable emotional responses. "Statistical probability of rectification. Minimal," he responded. But Jay Park was not someone who accepted defeat easily. Something about this situation felt wrong. Too wrong to be a simple mistake. The precise, time-obsessed Temporal Alignment Collective did not make such basic errors. As he began to dress, collecting his scattered design documents and communication devices, a plan started forming in his mind. If he couldn't recover the competition opportunity, he could at least understand why it was lost. The missed wake-up call was more than a personal failure. It represented a potential systemic issue that could affect future international and interstellar academic exchanges, and Jay was about to prove that human determination could overcome even the most bureaucratic of obstacles. Little did Kiro know that this missed wake-up call would become the beginning of something much larger than a simple academic mishap. Jay Park was preparing to turn a personal setback into a galactic statement about accountability, precision, and human resilience. Outside the dormitory window, the morning sun cast long shadows across the university campus, a silent witness to the brewing storm of an unexpected conflict that would soon challenge interspecies understanding in ways no one could have predicted. The university's legal department looked at Jay's complaint with a mixture of confusion and mild amusement. Filing a formal lawsuit against an alien roommate for failing to wake him up seemed ridiculous on the surface. But Jay was meticulous, presenting documentation that suggested something more complex was happening. He documented every communication protocol, every dormitory agreement, and every signed exchange student contract. His evidence showed that Kiro's species had a legally binding responsibility to maintain basic cohabitation standards, which included ensuring roommates met critical academic deadlines. The initial hearing took place in a small conference room with beige walls and uncomfortable chairs. University administrators, legal representatives from the Interstellar Student Exchange Program, and a neutral arbitration specialist listened carefully as Jay presented his case. "This isn't just about me missing a presentation," Jay explained, his voice calm and professional. "This is about systemic reliability and cross-species accountability." Kiro sat motionless, his silvery skin reflecting the overhead lights. His neural interfaces were processing every word, calculating potential legal outcomes with machine-like precision. The university's legal counsel initially tried to dismiss the case. They argued that a missed wake-up call could not constitute a serious legal breach. But Jay had prepared thoroughly. He presented financial calculations showing the exact monetary value of the lost opportunity, scholarship funds, potential internship earnings, and career development prospects. What started as a seemingly trivial complaint began attracting attention. Student forums, academic journals, and even some interstellar media outlets started discussing the case. The narrative was shifting from a simple dormitory dispute to a potential landmark case in interspecies legal relations. Kiro's species, the Temporal Alignment Collective, began monitoring the proceedings. They were known for their precise bureaucratic systems and had never faced such a detailed challenge to their reliability protocols. The arbitration specialist, a seasoned professional named Dr. Roberts, found herself increasingly intrigued. Jay's documentation was flawless. He had tracked every communication, every missed notification, and every potential point of system failure. "Mr. Park," Dr. Roberts asked during one hearing, "are you suggesting this was more than a simple oversight?" Jay's response was measured. "I'm suggesting that systematic failures require systematic accountability." As weeks passed, the case grew more complex. Experts were called to testify about interspecies living agreements, communication protocols, and the responsibilities of exchange student programs. The Temporal Alignment Collective sent representatives to observe. They were accustomed to being viewed as the most efficient species in the galaxy. This challenge to their reputation was unprecedented. Jay's strategy was brilliant. He wasn't just seeking compensation. He was exposing potential gaps in cross-cultural understanding and accountability. Each legal document, each piece of evidence was crafted to demonstrate a larger point about reliability and mutual respect. University administrators began to realize this was no ordinary complaint. Jay had transformed a personal setback into a potential framework for future interspecies collaboration and conflict resolution. Kiro remained silent throughout the proceedings, his alien brain processing vast amounts of information. He understood that this was more than a legal battle. It was a cultural confrontation. The case attracted international attention. Students from various planetary systems began discussing the implications. Could a missed wake-up call really constitute a legal breach? What responsibilities did different species have to each other in shared living environments? As the legal proceedings continued, one thing became clear. Jay Park was not just fighting for personal compensation. He was challenging entire systems of interspecies communication and accountability. The conference room became a battleground of ideas, where human determination met alien precision. And at the center of it all was Jai, a young student who refused to accept a simple mistake as an acceptable outcome. The legal confrontation was just beginning, and nobody knew exactly where it would lead. The news spread faster than quantum communications across multiple planetary systems. What began as a simple dormitory dispute between a human student and an alien roommate had transformed into a galactic media sensation. Interstellar news networks picked up the story. Headlines blared. Human student challenges alien reliability protocols, and unprecedented legal battle exposes systemic communication failures. Jay Park became an unexpected symbol of human determination. Media interviews reveal a young man who was calm, articulate, and remarkably strategic. His ability to break down complex legal and cultural barriers captured public imagination. The Temporal Alignment Collective found themselves on the defensive. For the first time in their documented history, their legendary efficiency was being publicly questioned. Their communication networks buzzed with discussions about the potential implications of the case. University administrators held emergency meetings. They recognized that this was no longer just a local dispute, but a potential diplomatic incident. Representatives from multiple planetary governments began showing interest in the proceedings. Kiro, the alien roommate, remained a mysterious figure. His stoic silence only added more intrigue to the unfolding drama. Some media outlets began speculating about his motivations, while others analyzed the cultural differences that could have led to such a unique confrontation. Academic institutions across the galaxy started reviewing their interspecies exchange programs. Jay's meticulous documentation had exposed potential weaknesses in existing communication protocols. Universities realized they needed more robust systems for managing diverse cultural and biological requirements. Diplomatic channels became unexpectedly interested. The case represented more than a simple legal dispute. It was a microcosm of broader interspecies interactions. How do different civilizations understand and respect each other's basic operational standards? Social media platforms exploded with discussions. Students, professionals, and citizens from various planetary systems debated the case. Some supported Jay's stance, arguing for stricter accountability. Others saw it as an unnecessary complication of cultural exchange programs. The Global Aerospace Research Foundation, which had originally hosted the competition Jay missed, found themselves under unexpected scrutiny. Their selection and support processes for international students came under detailed examination. Experts in cross-cultural communication began analyzing every aspect of the case. They saw it as a unique opportunity to understand the nuances of interspecies living arrangements and mutual responsibilities. Political commentators noted something fascinating. A single student had managed to create a conversation that transcended traditional diplomatic channels. Jay was doing what entire diplomatic missions had struggled to achieve, creating genuine, meaningful dialogue. The Temporal Alignment Collective's reputation for absolute precision was being challenged. Their neural networks processed the developing situation, calculating potential responses and diplomatic strategies. Jay's legal team, initially a small university support group, now found themselves at the center of an unprecedented legal and cultural phenomenon. They were carefully managing media interactions, understanding the global significance of their case. Interstellar broadcasting networks began producing documentaries and detailed analysis programs about the dispute. Experts from various fields, law, communication, cultural studies, and diplomatic relations, were invited to provide insights. The case highlighted something profound about human nature: the ability to transform a personal setback into a larger conversation about systemic improvement. Jay was not just fighting for personal compensation. He was challenging entire frameworks of interspecies understanding. Governments and academic institutions watched carefully. They recognized that this case could potentially set new standards for international and interplanetary student exchange programs. As the media attention grew, Jay remained focused. He continued to present his arguments with calm precision, never allowing the growing publicity to distract him from his core message of accountability and mutual respect. The galactic community was watching, waiting to see how this unique legal battle would unfold. What had started as a missed wake-up call was now a potential turning point in interspecies relations. And at the center of it all was Jay Park, an ordinary student who had become an extraordinary catalyst for change. The hearing room buzzed with an unusual energy. Representatives from multiple planetary systems watched as Jay Park presented evidence that would challenge everything the Temporal Alignment Collective believed about organizational efficiency. His presentation was methodical. Each slide revealed a different layer of communication failure, not just between him and Kiro, but within broader interspecies exchange programs. What seemed like a simple wake-up call dispute was exposing deep systemic problems. The Temporal Alignment Collective's representatives shifted uncomfortably. Their silvery skin reflected the harsh lighting, revealing subtle signs of tension. They had always considered themselves the galaxy's most precise species, yet here was a young human dismantling that reputation piece by piece. Jay's documentation showed not just a single failure, but a pattern of communication breakdowns. He demonstrated how their supposedly perfect neural interfaces missed critical human-centric communication nuances. Simple emotional contexts, cultural sensitivities, and individual variation were completely overlooked in their standardized protocols. This isn't about blame, Jay explained calmly. This is about understanding genuine communication. Experts from various planetary systems began to recognize something remarkable. Humans possessed a flexibility that rigid computational systems could never replicate. Where the Temporal Alignment Collective saw pure logic, humans saw context, emotion, and complex interpersonal dynamics. The case revealed that technological precision didn't always translate to genuine understanding. Kiro's species had advanced computational abilities, but they fundamentally misunderstood the complexity of human interactions. University researchers started analyzing the proceedings. They discovered that human adaptability was a strength often underestimated by more technologically advanced species. Jay's approach demonstrated how humans could turn a potential failure into a comprehensive systemic review. Media coverage intensified. What had started as a simple dormitory dispute was now a galactic discussion about communication, cultural understanding, and interspecies cooperation. The Temporal Alignment Collective's communication networks were processing unprecedented levels of data. Their neural interfaces struggled to comprehend the nuanced arguments Jay presented. For the first time, they recognized a significant gap in their understanding. Diplomatic channels became intrigued. This wasn't just a legal case, it was a profound exploration of how different species could genuinely communicate and coexist. Kiro, the alien roommate, remained a silent participant. His presence highlighted the very communication barriers Jay was exposing. Where other species might have become defensive, Kiro's passive observation became another piece of evidence. Academic institutions across multiple planetary systems began reviewing their exchange program protocols. Jay's case demonstrated that true communication required more than computational precision. It needed emotional intelligence and cultural sensitivity. The hearing room became a microcosm of broader galactic interactions. Every word, every piece of evidence challenged existing understanding of interspecies relationships. Human adaptability emerged as the unexpected hero. Where computational systems saw binary solutions, humans saw complex, nuanced possibilities. Jay's approach wasn't about winning an argument, but about creating mutual understanding. The Temporal Alignment Collective's representatives realized they were witnessing a fundamental shift in their understanding of communication. Their legendary efficiency was being re-examined through a lens of emotional and cultural complexity. As the proceedings continued, it became clear that this was more than a legal dispute. It was a cultural revelation that would reshape interspecies communication strategies for generations. Jay Park had transformed a missed wake-up call into a profound exploration of how different species could genuinely understand each other. His calm, methodical approach was revealing strengths that no computational system could easily replicate. The galaxy was watching, learning, and fundamentally reconsidering its understanding of communication, efficiency, and mutual respect. And at the center of this transformation was a young student who simply wanted accountability for a missed academic opportunity. The final hearing arrived with unprecedented anticipation. Representatives from multiple planetary systems packed the conference hall, their collective energy vibrating with expectation. Jay Park stood calm and composed. His journey from a frustrated student to a galactic communication icon was complete. The arbitration panel, composed of diverse species, listened intently as he made his final presentation. The decision would not just impact his personal case, but potentially reshape interspecies communication protocols across the galaxy. What had begun as a simple dispute about a missed wake-up call had transformed into a landmark legal and cultural moment. Dr. Roberts, the lead arbitration specialist, carefully reviewed the extensive documentation. Jay's meticulous evidence had exposed systemic failures in cross-cultural communication that no one had previously recognized. The Temporal Alignment Collective's representatives watched nervously. Their reputation for absolute precision was hanging by a thread. Every neural interface in the room was processing the potential outcomes. The evidence demonstrates a significant breakdown in communication protocols, Dr. Roberts announced. Her voice carried the weight of a decision that would echo across planetary systems. The verdict was unexpected. Jay would receive full compensation for the missed opportunity, but more importantly, the arbitration panel mandated comprehensive reforms in interspecies exchange programs. Kiro, the alien roommate, remained impassive. His silvery skin reflected the room's intense lighting, showing no emotional response to the proceedings that would fundamentally change his species' understanding of communication. The Global Aerospace Research Foundation was required to create new protocols. They would develop training programs focusing on emotional intelligence and cultural sensitivity, moving beyond pure computational efficiency. Universities across multiple planetary systems began reviewing their exchange program guidelines. Jay's case had exposed critical gaps in their existing communication frameworks. Media networks broadcast the decision globally. Students, professionals, and citizens from various worlds celebrated what they saw as a triumph of human adaptability and determination. Jay's legal team had accomplished something extraordinary. They had transformed a personal setback into a galactic conversation about mutual understanding and respect. The Temporal Alignment Collective would be required to undergo comprehensive retraining. Their neural interfaces would be upgraded to recognize emotional and cultural nuances that they had previously overlooked. Diplomatic channels buzzed with excitement. This case represented a breakthrough in interspecies relations that no formal diplomatic mission had ever achieved. Job offers began pouring in for Jay. Diplomatic institutions, research organizations, and communication departments saw him as a unique talent capable of bridging complex cultural divides. The university that had initially dismissed his complaint now celebrated him as a pioneering student who had changed global understanding. Kiro was assigned to a specialized cultural sensitivity program. The very systems that had once considered emotional intelligence irrelevant would now be rebuilt to understand its critical importance. The financial compensation was significant, but Jay understood that the real victory was much larger. He had exposed systemic failures and created a pathway for genuine interspecies communication. Research teams began analyzing every aspect of the case. Professors and experts recognized this as a moment that would be studied for generations. The Temporal Alignment Collective's communication networks processed the implications. Their legendary efficiency was being fundamentally reimagined through a lens of emotional intelligence. As media interviews continued, Jay remained humble. He spoke about the importance of understanding, communication, and mutual respect. The missed wake-up call that had once seemed like a personal disaster had become a catalyst for galactic change. Universities, governments, and interplanetary organizations began implementing new communication protocols. Jay's case became a standard reference point for understanding cross-cultural interactions. In the end, an unexpected triumph had emerged from a simple dispute. A single student had shown that human determination, adaptability, and emotional intelligence could transform entire systemic approaches to communication. The galaxy would never be the same again.